My name is Rhapsody and welcome back to Slay the Spire. It is time to do the daily climb for this April 20th of 2018. It is an ironclad run. We start with a rare relic. It's also a cursed run, so we're also going to start with a cursed key, the Darkstone Periat and Duvu doll, as well as having terminal. We start each combat with 5 plated armor and we lose 1 max HP every single time we enter a new room. Alright, let's get this undertaken with. Depends on what that rare relic is, I think, as to what's going to decide our run. Well, it's the shovel. You can now dig for looted rest sites. Thankfully, the Cursed Key, Darkstone Periant, and Duvu doll together form the basis of a very, very strong deck already. I mean that literally as well. A literally strong deck in that you are provided strength from every curse you put in your deck through the Duvu doll. You get more opportunities to put curses in your deck by going to question marks. So there are 5 on the path that I plan to take. This also has 2 elites. And we should prioritize rest locations where available so that we can dig up some more loot. Alright, trip strike here is easy. 12. Dang, my dude, you got a lot of damage. Thankfully, we have a ridiculous amount of defense. Alright. True Grit, Second Wind, Twin Strike. I might actually take a True Grit here, just so that I have a defensive card that I can also utilize to start burning some of the curses out of my deck when I start to pick them up. I could use Second Wind to do that in the large, but I feel like taking a True Grit initially is going to be better so that I can curate the ones that I want to remove a little more effectively. Sure, we'll remove a card from my deck. I think I'll remove a Defend because we already have the Plated Armor providing block every single turn, and I just picked up a defensive card. So by removing that Defend, I'm basically maintaining the previous balance of defensive to offensive cards in the deck. Awesome. So we've got to remind ourselves that we're not healing after every single fight as we usually would in the early game with the Ironclad. So maintaining our HP where available is a good idea. Thunderclap, Shockwave, Corruption. The only one I'm not really considering right now is the Corruption. I kind of want to take the Shockwave more than the Thunderclap. Alright. I'm not considering the Corruption yet because I don't really have anything to synergize with it yet. Here I'm going to want aggressive cards more than defensive cards, so I'm going to burn that out of my deck there. Now, part of the reason that I got the Shockwave is because it can start allowing us to run without defensive cards because we just weaken our enemies. All right, now we can take Cleave. So one of the reasons I would have wanted to take the Thunderclap is so that I would have an AoE card in the deck, but I didn't really want to take it over the Shockwave, whereas here we're getting immediately offered another AoE card in the Cleave. I'll take that. 12 HP in order to get the Blood Vial, which is at the start of each combat heal 2 HP. Over 6 combats, we're going to be fine. Also dig here. Got a Strawberry, raise our max HP by 7. Sure. So this is a DPS race fight, so I am going to try and tend this deck more aggressive, but I also don't want to wake up the Log of Wool in this turn, so I'm going to strike you so that there's a 2/3 chance I hit a Defend with this True Grit. Beautiful. And I'm not using the other strike because I don't want to wake it up this turn. I want to wake it up when I play my Bash. I could have also woken it up the turn after I played my Bash. Actually, I should have done that because then I would have had time to get the Shockwave out. This fight is effectively just a DPS race due to the fact that the enemy will start sapping away in this move, the Siphon Soul. Will just start sapping away chunks of your stats, so eventually you're going to be useless. You have to beat them to that point. Modified Hand. Whenever you play a power, a random card in your hand costs 0 for the rest of the turn, so we can basically treat powers as mana accelerants in certain conditions. Still probably not going to take Rupture. Because we have nothing to do with it yet. I think I do take the Thunderclap now. Do I? I have AoE vulnerability courtesy of the Shockwave, and I have the energy to cast it. I don't think I'd need any of those. Alright. Do I actually want to remove or transform a card in my deck right now? My traditional wisdom would be remove over transform. It might even be upgrade, right? Because how many opportunities am I going to get to upgrade cards if instead I want to dig most of the time? I think I'm going to transform, actually. I think we're going to transform a strike. Heavy Blade. Well, now, that will be good once we have curses in our deck. But until we have curses in our deck, it's not that good. Well, there's our first curse. Regal Pillow as well. Heal an additional 15 HP when you rest. We've also got to remember, because it's a cursed run, we're gonna get a curse every time we beat a boss, as well as a curse every single time we open a chest. And we can't guarantee that those curses are going to be unique, so we can't guarantee that we get the Highlander, which means it's probably not worth trying to create a singleton deck outside of it anyway. Like, until we defeat literally the final boss, we won't know whether or not we are capable of getting Highlander. Do I actually want to take the Parasite here? This is interesting. Maybe so. I could anger the mushrooms and then fight them, and then I could pick up the Odd Mushroom. Odd Mushroom? Is it actually called the Odd Mushroom, or am I thinking about Binding of Isaac again? I would pick up a relic that is a mushroom of some sort of nature. Let's just be as vague as we possibly can be. Which would decrease the amount of damage that we take extra when we are vulnerable from 50% extra to 25% extra. It's reasonable. It's not bad. But I think I actually want the curse more. Also, it is worth noting, that did heal me. Back to full HP. Dig here. Self-forming clay. Whenever you lose HP in combat, gain 3 block the next turn. I want to hit a shot with a blue candle if I can do that at all. May as well burn the card out that is entirely unplayable. The enemy doesn't seem to be planning to make me vulnerable this turn, so there's no reason to defend myself from that, and you're dead. Beautiful. Lantern. Gain energy on the first turn of each combat. That is really handy. No. Yeah, no, we don't want to go with that. Changing this into an evolve archetype. Evolve plus status effect archetype. Oh, we could, though. We get a lot of cards in our hands. We don't really have draw right now. And we are going to want draw if we're going to start exhausting these curses out of our deck at a reasonable... Alright, fine. Fine, you've convinced me. It's also worth noting that courtesy of the modified hand, the evolve basically costs 0 for us as long as it makes another card, a 1-cost card cost 0. It could also make a 2-cost card cost 0, in which case it costs -1 energy. It still costs us initially the card that we play. So it still does have a cost associated with it. This is something that I've had to reiterate a lot recently, actually. The cards aren't 0 cost. Like, Intimidate is not 0 cost. I still have to draw and then play Intimidate. It's not costing us energy as a resource, but it is costing us cards as a resource and a card slot and possibly an upgrade if I want to make sure that it gets an upgrade, because it will have to take an upgrade over upgrading something else. It will have to take a card draw slot over something else. So it's not technically free. I'll take the Pummel here. Just because we are going to have a lot of curses in this deck. Oh, boy. Bag of Marbles would actually be real swell. Like, I really want to take the Bottled Flame and just put the Heavy Blade in our opening hands, upgrade the Heavy Blade. It's a really strong opener. But also, with the bag of marbles, our opening hand is doing so much extra damage. Is our opening hand usually aggressive? Only if it really has pummel, heavy blade or pummel in it. I think I actually take the bottled flame and put the heavy blade in my opening hand, and then I need to upgrade the heavy blade as soon as possible. Is it here? Yeah, it has to be upgraded as soon as possible because we are making this into a strength build. So it is going to be our core damage dealer. Alright. So we are going to take damage in this fight. I was pretty certain of that on the outset. Don't really have a problem with it, though. Good, good, good. I just want to make sure that we kill the enemy before the enemy gets back to their 6th ignite. At which point we would be probably screwed. Not definitely, but probably. This is also a deck that's going to get way better as we continue going and get more curses in our deck, like Doubt now. Immolate, Impervious, Reaper. I think we now take an Immolate because it's one of the only... Like, it's an AoE card that's really going to benefit from the vulnerability we apply to all enemies because it does such high damage already. And also, it will trigger our Evolve a little bit. See, I don't want to take the Velvet Choker because the Evolve is making something else 0 cost. And with the extra energy we already have from the Cursed Key, and then from the Lantern, and also from the Velvet Choker, we could easily screw ourselves. Kind of have to take the Runic Dome there. Okay, there's 2 rests and an elite between them. It's pretty good. Alright, let's go. There's the Heavy Blade doing 29 now. But we've also got Shockwave Immolate for a pretty ridiculous amount of damage. Now we are going to take 5 over the top there. Then we kill quite easily. Lock Potion, probably better than a Dex Potion for us. Probably none of those, though. We've got enough AoE in the deck as it is. Ooh. This is difficult, because I actually like to go pretty hard on this for a bunch of money. We don't have a shop yet. Okay. So I basically gave up 30 health there just for a ridiculous amount of money. And I have no remorse. Okay, 24 damage in the next hand. Yep. Blood for blood, flame barrier. If we had the blue candle, I would probably take the blood for blood, but we don't, so I won't. One of the big reasons that I want the heavy blade in my opening hand is because I am considering the possibility. It's not definitely going to happen, but it could happen. The possibility that we get Necronomicon on this floor, which would allow us to have our opening turn be double heavy blade to our enemy. It's possible that you're doing the withering spoons or whatever this turn. Well, turns out you weren't doing that. Unfortunate for me. Other ancient potions probably worse. Infernal Blade? You know what? Sure. Yeah, it comes pre-upgraded. We're not really going to be able to afford to upgrade many of the cards in our deck, because I'm greedy and I want to dig up every single resource. Well, that's a lot of enemies down. Now, I know for a fact that this guy is doing like 11 this turn, I think. So I think I'm actually defended. 9. Ooh, even easier. Red Mask at the start of each combat. Apply 1 weak to all enemies. We will drop an Ancient Potion for an Explosive Potion here. Sword Boomerang. Yeah, in terms of energy to damage, a Sword Boomerang is more efficient than a Heavy Blade. In terms of card to damage, it's less efficient. This is a debate that happens consistently. Is Sword Boomerang or is Heavy Blade better in a strength deck? You have to consider that both of them are more efficient on one resource, card or cost, or card or energy, and less efficient on the other. That said, increasing the variety in my deck is a pretty good idea, so we'll do that. Unceasing Top. Whenever you have no cards in hand, during your turn, draw a card. Now, this doesn't mean, yet, that we can just start adding a bunch of zero-cost cards to our deck. Because currently, if we draw like a bunch of zero-cost cards and injury, we end our turn there. So we need a way to get past these hard blocks in our deck, being the curses, so blue candle, effectively, before we can start including zero-cost cards with impunity. Okay. So Bash Heavy Blade is an instant kill on any of these targets. Typically, the Slaver in the backline does the most damage on the first turn. And then out of the remainder of you two, the frontliner does more. If I use a weakness... Sorry, since you're all weak this turn, if I use a block potion there, I should be well defended. Okay. Yeah. Cleave, Immolate, Sword Boomerang. Goodbye forever. Matryoshka. Next 2 chests you open contain 2 relics. I think we just opened a chest. I don't want a second evolve. Yeah, I definitely don't want a second evolve. I also really don't want a Fiendfire. It would burn out my entire hand, which would mean that I started drawing more from the Unceasing Top. Oh, maybe I actually want it. I do have 5 energy. Plus, every single trick of it is using Duvu Doll, and I have a lot of garbage in my deck. Yeah, we'll take Fiendfire, actually. Do I upgrade Fiendfire to give it 3 extra damage on every trigger? Or upgrade Immolate to give it 7 damage? Or do I dig again? I think I still want to dig. I know Should Have Douglas was a recent episode. But I'm greedy. Molten Egg. Whenever you add an attack card to your deck, it is upgraded. That's going to be really handy because we don't really upgrade things ourselves. Ooh, that's another thing. Yeah, now we have 2 injuries in our deck. And as you can see, every single time I defeat a boss, I also get a curse added into my deck, which is going to include the final boss. So I could have a deck of all singletons, all single copies of cards, then defeat the final boss, and it gives me another injury, and then suddenly I don't have Highlander anymore. So that randomness is why I'm not going to shoot for Highlander. I explained it slightly earlier, but I didn't exactly explain the time at which the last curse triggers being the reason that you don't want to do that. Mercury Hourglass at the start of your turn deal 3 damage to all enemies, as well as Kunai every time you play 3 attacks in a single turn, gain a dex. Not bad through and through. Now I could put the bird on the ground, and almost certainly should. I'm gonna use the defend here. Yeah. It was worth using. Because any reasonable next turn was going to kill them both. Sword Boomerang Clash Reckless Charge? Yeah, Reckless Charge. We've got a Daze in this deck. We've got to Evolve in this deck, rather. Well, alright. Do I open with a Fiendfire just to try and get new cards in my hand? Actually, yes, but I do it in this order. That seems to have worked out pretty well. Goodbye. Come on, let's get Dead Branch. Let's clinch this one. I'll actually take a Pummel here as well, especially because it's immediately going to upgrade courtesy of the Molten Egg. Let's get thick. "24 cards for me is thick." I'm trying. All right. If I use 2 explosive potions, I can save myself HP this turn. Probably not worth. Got him. Now, toolbox. At the start of each combat, add a random colorless card to your hand. Please be Apotheosis. Ruptured. We do not deal damage to ourselves yet. Still, we don't. Clash would be okay if I had a way to get past all of my curses. Hello, Apotheosis. Well, you do the Infernal Blade first, because then it gives you an unupgraded card, which you then upgraded the Apotheosis. I'm setting up for an optimistic draw next turn, but in the worst case scenario, I have the explosive potions they hand me. This is what I was setting up for, by the way, the Immolate. I was trying to get them all below 28. Quite glad that worked out. Cleave Carnage? I could take a Cleave, actually. Second copy of Cleave. Right, we can't just rely on the one Cleave anymore because the deck is now thicker. Sure. Master of Strategy is not bad. Master of Strategy into Fiendfire is lethal, which is not bad. It's pretty good. Again, Unceasing Top, you'd suspect I'd immediately pick Anger, but without a way to definitely remove the curses from my deck, Anger becomes just a really card inefficient damage source. And again, I can't take those. Even the uppercut? Even the uppercut, though? No, I can take the uppercut. There was an uppercut offered earlier as well that I probably should have taken. We should be fine in this fight, so I'll dig. Bag of Preparation. The start of each combat, draw 2 additional cards. Handy. Ooh, Enlightenment. Hell yeah. Alright, so 2 weak and 2 vulnerable gets rid of the rest of your artifacting. Heavy Blade, Pummel, Cleave, Reckless, and heal myself up a little bit. Also play a Defend there. There's a Strike. I'd really like to get next hand. I was going to say Evolve and Immolate, but fine. If we can only have one of them. Jeez. There's my Fiendfire. There's my Pummel. Well, I still haven't taken damage in this fight yet, by the way. I think I might be able to eke out a perfect. Didn't get something like. What do you have? You have Pummel? Actually, I can eke out a perfect by doing this now and then pummeling you. Alright, we got another curse, and what is it? Is it Pain? It is Writhe. Okay, that's actually kind of annoying as well. Dark Embrace, whenever a card is exhausted, draw 1 card, Impervious or Feed. Probably Feed. Especially because it also immediately upgrades as soon as we pick it up. Take Calling Bell to get 3 curses and 3 relics. Don't think I'm not going to do that because I will. Huh. I didn't even say don't mind if I do. Damn it. Alright. Writhe, Clumsy, Injury. Sure. Also get... Wow, 3 really good relics. Every 3 turns, gain an energy. If your HP is full, gain energy at the start of each turn. And Thread and Needle at the start of each combat, gain 5 plated armor. Now, do we have any powers in our deck? I think we just have the Evolve. Yeah, we literally just have the Evolve, so it's not a huge issue. Rather, it's not a huge issue. The enemy we have at the end of this floor. I got a lot of money, so I'm going to try and go to the earliest shop I can see. Okay. Not bad, not bad. Please get blue candle video game, please. I just want a blue candle. No, I haven't really added that many strikes to my deck. Affected strike's probably not going to perform that much. Again, 0 cost. Flex. You have an unceasing top. Why not take it? Because I can't get the curses out of my deck. So if I draw Flex with a bunch of curses, what am I doing in that hand? Nothing. And obviously, I'm not going to remove the curses. Number one, there's way too many to remove. But number two, but number two, they're giving me the strength that is making my build work right now. Speaking of making my build work right now, what isn't? I really like these basic strikes. Don the Red Mask for 222 gold. Don't mind if I crumbs. Almost said it again. Let's go Vajra. At the start of each combat, gain 1 strength. We'll also pick up the Paper Frog. Enemies with vulnerability take 75% more damage rather than 50% more damage. I'm inclined to go all out, but there's also another shop over here. If I want to skip an elite, I can go for another shop. Do I want to skip an elite? I don't really want to skip an elite. I can also take Mind Blast, which would be immediately upgraded, put in my opening hand with a 30-card deck with a 7-card opening draw. It would be a 31-card deck with a 7-card opening draw, but I'd also probably use card removal, so it'd be a 30-card deck with a 7 opening draw. So it'd be 0 energy for 23 damage. It's pretty good, pretty good. Let's take that Mind Blast. I'd remove another strike out of there. I'm going to hold on to some of my money, and I am going to go to that shop. So. Let's just spread the damage around. I could probably take that Havoc. Sure. Like, because the path I want to take doesn't even have later question marks. Is my score better served by getting the blue candle or just by getting the elites? It's probably by getting the elites. Ancient Tea Set. Whenever you enter a rest site, start the next combat with 2 extra energy. It's going to be really good in the final fight. Hey, Purity, what up? It is lovely to see you. Get all that garbage out of there. Due to the 10-plated armor... Hey, nice speed. Due to the 10-plated armor from Thread and Needle stacking on top of Terminal, we were probably going to be able to perfect that fight if we did that correctly. Centennial Puzzle, the first time you lose HP each combat, draw 3 cards. Upgraded Heavy Blade. Yeah, we have enough strength in the deck that we would just pretty much always want to get a Heavy Blade. I don't know if we're ever going to be in a position where we're like, oh, crumbs, another Heavy Blade. Or a Pummel. Pair, raise your max HP by 10, as well as a tiny chest, gain 30 gold. You're 10% more likely to find treasure in question mark rooms. Now, because we get a curse at the end of the run as well, we're going to get 6 more HP, max HP, that is, off of the Darkstone Periapt. So we should end this run with over 110 max HP, which is the trigger point for activating a score modifier called crumbs, what's his name? It's called a thing, and I know what it's called, and I don't need to... damn it, what is it called? Stuffed. This is the singing bowl. When adding cards to your deck, you may gain 2 max HP instead, which is almost invariably what we're going to do from now on, because it is going to guarantee the previous interaction I was talking about. That's a very cheap bludgeon. Oh, that's a very cheap Fiend Fire. Mind Blast. Bludgeon. Fiend Fire. Yeah, it went pretty well. Another weakness potion, probably not necessary, but sure. More we got him! Blue Candle, curse cards cannot be played. Playing a curse will make you lose 1 HP and exhaust the card. So that is going to make the unceasing top no longer cease when I draw curses. It also, by the way, means that I can just destroy a ride in my opening hands in order to draw 3 cards from the Centennial Puzzle, because I'm going to be dealing damage to myself. So I'm going to open up my hand by playing that card. Beautiful. Let's get some of these hands out so that I can draw more. I didn't need to burn that Clumsy, by the way. Wasn't essential. Now we can take things like an unupgraded Anger, because we can still get through our deck. We also want to play the Mind Blast before we start drawing. So that's another part of the reason to play it in that order. Hemikinesis would draw us a card, but also we're just drawing a card in our opening hand with the burning innate anyway. So it would draw us cards off of the Centennial Puzzle, but we already have a reliable way to do that, so we don't need another one. Alright, let's dig. Frozen Egg. Whenever you add a power card to your deck, it is upgraded. Good. If we add a power card to our deck in this final fight, it's going to be upgraded, which is going to be really handy. Because I can't tell you how many times I've gotten to this point in the game and it's not upgraded. Literally 0, but I guess I can tell you. I'm going to be playing Bandage Up at the end of this anyway, so I'm going to burn all of the negatives out of my deck, then Bandage Up. So Cleave, Immolate is going to clear. I also should have played the Mind Blast first. Also should have played the Uppercut first. Just a lot of things I probably should have done in a different order there. Hey, what up, Anger? Oh. Alright, enemy's already weak, and they're not buffed, so they shouldn't get any extra damage that turn. Burn the injury out. I could have avoided buffing the Awakened one there. Do I want to burn a Reckless Charge out of my deck? I actually do, because I don't want to put the Daze into my deck, because they're going to prevent me from drawing my other things. Yeah. So I'll just quickly murder you. Right. Throw a Weakness Potion, because there's no reason not to. Uh-oh. Yeah, there's no way we're fully defended this turn, unfortunately. That's a 40 damage attack, so it'd be a 30 damage attack against us, 13 defense, 17 through. That's unfortunate. Didn't get the perfect there, but we did get a lot of other modifiers. So 1,184, reasonable. Gonna be a couple champions in there. There's curses. Your deck contains 5 or more curses. We got an Overkill, obviously, for the Heavy Blade. We got a boss defeated perfectly. We got 3 champions. We got Stuffed, as I assumed we might. We got Librarian for having a deck size of at least 35 cards. If we went, I think, 50 plus, we get another thing. Antiquarian? Can't remember it for the life of me. Collector, 4 copies of any non-starter card. What would that even be? Pummel. It's probably Pummel, actually. No, I've got 3 copies of Pummel. Oh my god, is it injury? Yeah, it's injury. I have 4 copies of injury. Wow. And money, which just happens sometimes. I don't know how you're supposed to, in a normal run, that is a non-Midas run, get the 2nd level of money where you have more than 2,000 gold. Insane. Oh, and also I like shiny, which was pretty much a foregone conclusion as soon as we had the shovel. Because we were just going to dig up all of the relics, naturally. So it's a reasonable score. I would not expect to be in like the top 200 with this though. Because there are definitely more things that could have been done there. There were fight sequences that could have been optimized to possibly get a couple more champions, possibly get another couple perfects. If you went with a completely different build with the foreknowledge of what relics you were going to get, you probably could have done a defensive build that would have had a beyond perfect, that is to say perfected every single one of the final bosses on each floor. Let's have a look at our standing though. Oh gosh, am I actually... Yeah, I'm 39th. Oh. And it's actually been out for 10 hours, so it's not like we're super early to this. Huh. That's not where I expected to be. I'd have expected to be significantly lower. Is there anyone else that... Where's NL's misplays? Oh, there's Isaac, baby. Which might actually be NL, or it might be someone else using NL's name. There's NL's great plays, which is actually significantly, slightly lower, actually with the same score. Fair enough. All right. Looking good, looking good. I really thought we were going to be lower than that. I'm pleasantly surprised for the moment. My name has been Rhapsody. The name of the game has been Slay the Spire. Hopefully you've been enjoying yourselves, and hopefully we'll see you next time.